You wake up. You reach for your phone before your eyes fully open. You check something, maybe messages, maybe nothing in particular. You get out of bed the same way you did yesterday, walk the same path to the bathroom, brush your teeth with the same hand. Maybe you don't even remember doing it. But that's not forgetfulness. That's habit. Habits are quiet. They rarely announce themselves. They aren't loud like goals or urgent like emergencies. They don't ask for attention. But slowly, without permission, they shape who you become. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. If that feels scary, it should. Because most of us are building lives we never chose, one habit at a time. We think of habits as little things, biting our nails, checking our phones, drinking coffee at 4 p.m. But there's so much more than that. Habits are the operating system of the human mind. Most of what you do, say, and think is not the result of conscious choice, but unconscious routine. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you don't design your habits will design you. Not all habits feel bad. Not all bad habits feel wrong. That's what makes them dangerous. They blend into the background. They become your personality. I'm just someone who's always late. I'm a night owl. I procrastinate, but I get it done. These aren't facts. These are excuses dressed up as identity. Because habits aren't just about what you do. They're about what you believe. Every habit tells your brain a story about who you are. When you wake up and go for a run, you're not just getting fit. You're reinforcing the belief, I'm someone who shows up. When you scroll for 2 hours instead of reading the book you meant to finish, you're not just wasting time. You're reinforcing the belief, I avoid hard things. And day by day, those small beliefs become your truth. You don't notice the shift at first. That's the cruel magic of habit. It hides itself behind routine. It whispers instead of shouting. But the consequences are enormous. Because when you repeat something enough times, it becomes you. Not just something you do, but someone you are. We like to think that change starts with motivation. That if we just wanted it badly enough, we'd become better, healthier, happier. But motivation fades. Willpower fails. Identity sticks. That's why the most powerful habits aren't driven by pressure, but by belief. Not I need to work out, but I'm someone who takes care of my body. Not I should write more, but I'm a writer. Want to change your life? Stop chasing outcomes. Start changing your identity. And identity begins with action. The smallest consistent action, repeated with intention, becomes a habit. A habit, practiced long enough, becomes a belief. And that belief eventually becomes who you are. This is not motivational fluff. It's neuroscience. Your brain rewires itself based on repetition. Each time you perform a habit, you strengthen the neural pathway behind it. The more you do something, the easier it becomes to do it again. That's how habits become effortless, automatic, even. But that sword cuts both ways. It's not just good habits that get stronger over time. So do bad ones. The more you avoid discomfort, the more your brain expects escape. The more you scroll, the harder it becomes to stop. The more you lie to yourself, the more you believe your own stories. Habits are not neutral. They are always leading you somewhere. The question is, where? Are yours leading you to the person you want to be, or quietly guiding you away from them? This is not meant to scare you. It's meant to awaken you. Because the most hopeful truth is this: if habits can shape your life without your permission, they can also reshape your life with your attention. Change is possible. But first, you have to see clearly. And if you're still here, you're already doing the hardest part, paying attention. Not all prisons have walls. Some are made of routines that feel safe. Some are built from habits that feel good, for a while. Comfort is one of the most dangerous addictions we never talk about. And it almost always begins with a simple choice. Skip the workout today. Open that app for just a minute. Push the hard thing to tomorrow. It feels harmless. Just one time. But one time becomes two. Two becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes a habit. And suddenly, you're stuck. Comfort is a liar. It whispers that you're okay, even when you're not. It tells you you're resting when you're actually avoiding. It lets you feel safe, but only because you're not growing. Real growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in discomfort, in the stretch, in the resistance. That's why breaking habits feels hard. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is efficient. It loves the path of least resistance. It's designed to repeat what's familiar, not what's good. Your brain doesn't care if a habit helps or hurts you. It only cares if it's automatic. That's how people wake up years later and wonder how they got here, lost, numb, drifting. Not because they made one bad choice, but because they kept making the easy one. Comfort is seductive. It numbs you with distraction, busies you with routine. It makes it easy to forget your dreams, your discipline, your strength. And little by little, your identity shifts, not into who you could be, but into who you settle for. And the worst part? It feels normal. You can live an entire life inside your comfort zone and never notice the walls. You can have good days, good moments, even laughter. But deep down, something will always feel missing. Not because your life is bad, but because it's smaller than it could be. There's a quiet grief that comes from unlived potential. The what if that never stops whispering. The goals you once had that now live on dusty to-do lists. The energy you used to feel, now replaced by exhaustion and excuses. This is not meant to shame you. It's meant to wake you up. Because comfort will always be there. But so will the alternative, growth. Every day you are offered two paths. One leads to ease. The other to evolution. One gives you temporary peace. The other gives you long-term freedom. And the difference isn't about talent or willpower. It's about awareness. The ability to pause and ask yourself, am I choosing growth right now or comfort? Sometimes you'll choose comfort. That's okay. You're human. But if you never ask the question, comfort will always win. And if comfort always wins, your future always loses. But it doesn't have to be that way. You're not trapped. You're not broken. You're just patterned. And patterns can be rewritten. It starts small. One decision today. One choice to get uncomfortable. One act of rebellion against the easy path. Because every time you choose growth, you weaken the grip of the habits holding you back. And every time you do that, your identity shifts closer to who you were meant to be. We admire discipline. We envy it in others. We wish we had more of it ourselves. But here's the truth no one tells you. Discipline isn't a personality trait. It's not something you're born with. It's not reserved for the elite, the gifted, the chosen few. Discipline is a skill. And like any skill, it can be built. Slowly. Patiently. Quietly. Most people don't lack discipline. They lack clarity. They lack systems. They lack self-compassion. You're not lazy. You're overwhelmed. You're not undisciplined. You're exhausted from carrying too much invisible weight. The problem isn't that you don't try hard enough. It's that you think you have to fight yourself to change. You believe discipline is about force, control, pressure. But real discipline isn't a war. It's an agreement. A quiet, powerful promise to show up for yourself, even when it's hard. Not because you hate who you are, but because you believe in who you're becoming. Discipline isn't motivation. Motivation fades. It's a spark, not fuel. Discipline is what remains when the spark is gone. And even that doesn't mean perfection. You'll mess up. You'll fall off track. You'll skip the routine. And then your brain will try to tell a story. See? You're not disciplined. You never stick to anything. But discipline isn't about streaks. It's about returning. Returning when it's boring. Returning when it's hard. Returning when you've failed. The most disciplined people in the world fail more than most. But they know something others forget. One bad day doesn't break you. Quitting does. That's the difference. Discipline isn't doing it all. It's doing what you can. One tiny step forward, even when everything says stop. It's the 5 push-ups you do when you don't feel like working out. The 5 minutes of focus when your brain wants to scroll. The gentle self-talk when you want to scream at yourself again. Discipline is born from kindness, not cruelty. And the most disciplined version of you doesn't bully you into progress. They build it, softly, patiently, deliberately. So the next time you say, "I wish I were more disciplined," remember this. You already are. You've shown up before. You've done hard things. You've survived. The seed is there. Now it's time to water it. You know what to do. You've read the books. You've watched the videos. You've made the plans. But somehow, you don't move. You don't act. You stay stuck. Why? Because knowledge isn't change. Clarity isn't action. And insight doesn't always lead to motion. We stay stuck not because we're broken, but because we're afraid. Afraid to fail. Afraid to succeed. Afraid of judgment. Afraid of who we'll become if we really try. There's a strange safety in stuckness. It's familiar. Predictable. Comfortable, even when it hurts. Movement means risk. It means loss. It means leaving behind who we've been. And there's a secret part of you, maybe small, maybe loud, that whispers, "What if I'm not enough? What if I try and still fail?" So we stall. We overthink. We scroll. We distract ourselves. We wait for the perfect moment that never comes. But here's the truth. You don't need more motivation. You need motion. Tiny motion. Imperfect motion. Motion that feels almost invisible at first. Change never arrives all at once. It sneaks in through moments of discomfort you're willing to face. And yes, it's scary. But staying stuck costs more than trying ever will. It costs you your time, your energy, your growth, your dreams. The longer you stay stuck, the more it feels like reality. When really, it's just a chapter you haven't closed. So how do you get unstuck? You stop trying to leap and you learn to lean. Lean toward the next action. Lean into the discomfort. Lean on the truth that it's okay not to have it all figured out. Most people wait to feel ready. But readiness is a reward, not a requirement. You don't need to feel confident. You need to feel willing. Willing to begin. Willing to fail. Willing to get up and try again. That's how you move. That's how you shift. That's how you become. So if you feel stuck right now, you're not alone. But stuck isn't forever. It's just a sign that you've outgrown the old you, and the new you is still learning how to walk. Big goals are exciting. We dream of transformation overnight. New body. New mindset. New life. But the truth? Change doesn't come in explosions. It comes in drops. In whispers. In the invisible choices no one sees. Because it's not one big decision that changes your life. It's 1,000 small ones, made quietly, consistently. Drink water instead of soda. Go to sleep 10 minutes earlier. Take a breath instead of yelling. Write a sentence instead of a novel. Tiny. Unimpressive. easy to ignore. But repeated daily, they become the architecture of your identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are built out of your habits. Most people wait for motivation. But tiny habits don't need motivation. They're too small to resist. You don't have to run 5 miles. You just put on your shoes. You don't have to write a chapter. You just open the notebook. You don't have to meditate an hour. You just sit down and take one breath. That's the power. Not in the task, but in becoming the kind of person who starts. Momentum is a force. And once it's on your side, everything gets easier. You stop trying to be disciplined. You just show up. You stop fighting yourself. You just follow the path your habits already laid. The truth is, your habits shape your future long before your goals do. They're the quiet proof of who you're becoming. They tell a story, even if no one else is watching. So start small. Ridiculously small. So small it feels silly. Because a tiny habit done daily beats a perfect one done never. And over time, you'll look back and realize that tiny step was never tiny. It was everything. We think identity is fixed. Something we're born with. But it isn't. It's built. One tiny action at a time. You're not a runner because you're fast. You're a runner because you run. You're not a writer because you published a book. You're a writer because you write, even when no one's reading. Every time you repeat a habit, you cast a vote for the person you want to be. Wake up early? You're becoming someone disciplined. Reach for the book instead of your phone? You're becoming someone curious. Keep a promise to yourself? You're becoming someone trustworthy to yourself. And that matters more than anyone knows. Because habits don't just change what you do. They change what you believe about yourself. At first, it's a stretch. You don't feel like that person yet. But with each repetition, your brain rewires. Your story changes. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be consistent," and start saying, "I'm a consistent person." You stop asking, "What if I fail again?" and start asking, "What if I keep going?" That's the quiet miracle of habits. They turn doubt into confidence, chaos into clarity, shame into momentum. You don't need to believe in yourself right now. You just need to do the next right thing. Again and again and again. Eventually, belief will catch up. Because when you act like the person you want to be, you become them. Not in a day, but in time. Through repetition. Through patience. Through love. And that's how your habits become your identity. Not a mask you wear, but a truth you build. One small choice at a time.